You know the situation of MinCam, our core, we always need money to keep the hall running.
Thank you.
So, we are going to call on the candidates to help pay for the lights for the few hours that will be here. That is fair. That is being fair. So, it's just a request. The agenda tonight will go as follows. We are going to introduce the candidates to you, and then we are going to ask them questions. I sent out emails requesting the community to forward to us questions that you want to ask the candidate. Some of you have done so, and some have not. And I know maybe you have questions here. I would like to encourage that you should write those questions and send to us so that we can evaluate them. We are here to bring the community together. If you have a toxic question, your question might be denied. Alright?
That's not democratic.
It's not democratic, but this is not a place where you come and shoot against another opponent. We want it to be fair to everybody. So let's not ask embarrassing questions. Okay? Ask questions what the candidate has to provide as value, way forward, and how we can progress from here.
Is the question concerning the community? There's no question that stops.
So good evening, everybody. We are just going to start. I apologize for the late start, but that's part of our culture. We are trying to improve on it. But there is no microphone, so we really appreciate it if you guys can at least talk with your indoor voices. Lower your tone so that it doesn't go out to disrupt or to affect whatever we are saying or prevent candidates from hearing. We hope this will not take too long. We don't have papers and pens to provide to you, but I think when we have, after going through our questions, we'll have an open forum whereby you can ask questions to the candidates. Yes.
All right.
So you can prepare your questions in time and then you can ask after the questions that we have. Those questions came from some members in the community and were using some of the questions that we had last year. So before we start, I'm going to introduce one of the candidates. My name is Rolindin Smallford. I'm a citizen of Cameroon. I live in Minnesota, and I've been in this community for pretty much ever since it started. Anyway, I'm going to introduce Dr. Pascal Enoyaket. Dr. Pascal Enoyaket was born and raised in Limbe, Cameroon. He obtained a bachelor's degree in physics from the University of Boya, Cameroon, before proceeding to teaching physics at the Dean of the Rotary College, Okoye. Thereafter, he went to Sweden and obtained a master's degree in physics. He then gained a scholarship to study towards a PhD in physics at Tulane University in New Orleans, Louisiana. While studying at Tulane University, he, like most residents of New Orleans, was forced out of the city by major Hurricane Katrina. In order not to disturb his studies, Dr. Enoyaket obtained admissions at Harvard University, where he did most of his PhD work before defending his final dissertation at Tulane. Given that his PhD research was deemed worthy of 3 attempts, after his PhD, Dr. Enoyaket decided to pursue an MBA from Rice University, where he focused on marketing and finance. Since after leaving business school, Dr. Enoyaket has worked with major Fortune 500 companies. He worked for 4 years at General Mills, where he was responsible for rebranding Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal and developing key market positioning for low-paid Greek yogurt. He then left and worked at Kimberly-Clark, where he was responsible for turning around a Portuguese business. He currently works at the Minneapolis office of the Boston Consulting Group, where he is responsible for projects related to mergers and acquisitions and proposing strategies to turn around struggling business through market research. Dr. Enoyaket has always had his community at heart. He served as the president of the Manu Elements Cultural Association for 4 years and was the chairman of the Representative Assembly for 2 years. He was keynote speaker for this year's graduation ceremony for Lincoln High School in Minneapolis. Last week, Dr. Enyoket was approached by Greater Minneapolis, a non-profit organization made up of leaders, all the Fortune 500 companies based in Minnesota, to design a strategy to bring science students into the business world. Just yesterday, while organizing the barbecue for his campaign, Dr. Enyoket was approached by the church board of St. Vincent de Paul Catholic Church in Brooklyn Park to join a 10-person committee that will be responsible for designing and executing a strategy to reduce the church's debts and raise money for a capital campaign. Dr. Enyoket is married to Miriam Kenji Enyoket, and they have 3 kids. They live in Brooklyn Park and worship every Sunday as a family at St. Vincent de Paul Catholic Church. So he is one of our candidates, Dr. Enyoket.
I will be introducing the second candidate, Dr. Chris Fokumula.
Louder, please.
I'm introducing the next candidate, Dr. Chris Fokumula. Education. He has a bachelor's degree in microbiology from the University of Minnesota in 1991. He is a doctor of chiropractic medicine from the Health Science University of Bloomington in 2001. He is an ex-student of Cameroon Protestant College, Bali, and primary school, Presbyterian Boys School of Limbe, Cameroon. Both history, principal junior scientist, University of Minnesota, Medical School of the Department of Surgery, with the ALG program. A licensed chiropractor for more than 10 years. Community involvement. He is one of the 5 founding fathers of MinCam. Served as a treasury of MinCam for 2 terms. Chair of the Finance Committee and chair of the MinCam Fund Development Committee. He coordinated the MinCam Fund Drive that brought in more than $200,000 that led to the purchase of CCC Hall building. Current National President of BOBA, which is Bali Old Boys Association, and he is the highest winner of the Umbatu Award from the community. Meet Dr. Chris.
Who want to go first? Both of us want to go, so
Distinguished members of the panel, leaders of the Cameroonian community, my distinguished and very good friend, Dr. Chris Fokumula, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's a privilege to have a lot of Cameroonians like you carve out time from your busy schedule on a Friday evening to come listen to us talk. I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. My name is Pascal Enonyaket, and I'm running for the office of President of MinCam. I'm running for this office because I firmly believe that MinCam is at an inflection point, a point at which we will have to decide whether we want to continue in a trajectory that is taking us to a place that we cannot see a bright future, or we want to move higher in a way that all of us can be proud as MinCamers and can be proud to leave something behind for our kids. The successes of MinCam can easily be traced on the footsteps of our former presidents. Mr. Michael Fondungala, the founding president of MinCam, I'll call him a great community leader. He brought people together to conceive this idea that we enjoy today called MinCam. And then he handed the baton to Dr. Robert Difo. I'll call him a visionary leader, who through his vision was able to bring Cameroonians of all walks of life united towards a common cause to purchase the building we all enjoy today. And now Mr. Joy Kale, who through his passion from the creation of MinCam to this day has always made sure that the flame of MinCam continues to burn. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in giving a hand of applause to all our leaders, past and present. MinCam faces some significant challenges, one of which is we stand a very high chance of losing our most cherished CCC. We also have a lot of challenges around finances. And finally, our community is more divided than ever before. I have a vision, not only to address these current problems, but to make sure that they never happen in the future, as well as to make sure that we have a bright vision for MinCam going forward. First, I want to start by separating the management of the Cameroon Community Center from the political management of MinCam. If you elect me as the president of MinCam, I am not going to be meddling and making all the decisions as it pertains to this CCC. We'll create an independent body of Cameroonians who have skills to run properties, who have business skills, people who can sit together. They will be responsible for paying our electricity bills. They will be responsible for awarding contracts to people to make sure that this asset is functional. At the same time, we'll have an advisory body. That advisory body will be made up of other Cameroonians who can be touching base with this execution arm of the CCC to make sure that things are going well. And this advisory body will have each person, someone from each cultural group, because I've seen that the cultural groups and alumni groups are not as educated on what is happening with MinCam. I believe that if we do that, the financial stress that we witness today will quickly go away. The next aspect that I want to address is the fact that when I say we are at an inflection point, I mean that we are at a point where we need a leader who has the skills to not just look inward, but also look outward. By inward, I mean only depend on Cameroonians. We don't have to only depend on ourselves for money. We can go out there. And by outward, I mean someone who can develop partnership with other organizations, someone who can develop partnership with corporations. And I have those skills, and I am willing to bring it to bear if you give me this vote and elect me, give me the privilege to be the president of this great community. Now, let's not forget our kids and our youths. Quite often, whenever it comes to MinCam affairs, we will say we love the youth to join us. We usually love them to join us when it comes to donating money. And then right after that, we forget about them. I have been doing a lot for our youths. Year after year, I make sure that any young person in our community or old person in our community who reaches out to me for letters of recommendation, for whatever they need, I am always there for them. Last year alone, I wrote at least 19 letters of recommendation to our Cameroonian brothers and sisters. Because you know what? We have very bright people in this community. They will do so well in school, but then when they reach out to that professor to write a letter of recommendation for them, all of a sudden the professor starts looking at their color of their skin. And instead of giving you the recommendation you really truly deserve, they give you the subpar recommendation, probably because they view you as a subpar human being. No. That must stop, and we must tap our own resources, and that is why I do things like that. And I'll continue. Additionally, on my platform, I have proposed that we have a cultural day for kids at the first week of June during the opening of the MinCam year. This is because I believe that the August date for August is purely dominated by adults, and we have to find other avenues to pass on our tradition to our kids. If you elect me president, I'll make sure I do some of those things. My brothers and sisters of the Cameroonian community, we are at a point where transparency does not necessarily mean pulling out emails of our bank account or putting out emails of everything that leadership showcase. My definition of transparency is talking to each other and listening to each other. The community today is suffering from a listening deficiency. We talk past each other. And I know that most of us here are Christian people, God-loving people. I believe that it is time for us to come together as brothers and sisters, sit on the same table, discuss, dispute ideas, but not take it personal. My personality is one of making sure that I combat you on an ideas level and will always be friends. And if you elect me president, know that that is how I'm going to run this organization. I will stop now and let my opponents take the stage, but I will be coming back to give more and to answer more of your questions. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My dear brothers and sisters, fellow Cameroonians, our youths, our sons and daughters, it is always thrillingly very exciting for me to be in your midst. But today, I come to address you rather at a trying time. A trying time for our beloved Minnesota Cameroonians in this community. Possibly at the darkest point, or one of the darkest points in our lives, where there are doubts about our ability to sustain and protect our own assets and achievements. Trying times because there are cracks in the cohesiveness of our own community. Trying times because regionality have the potential to break us and cause dysfunctionality in our own essence. Our essence as a people is a distinct Cameroonian African community which has that ability to do great things. A vibrant community which actually gained the utmost admiration of several communities as a people. That is our identity. And please don't forget that. That is why I'm running for president of MinCam. Because I believe, from my past experience and from the work that you have already seen me do, that I can summon our oneness, call to an action of all hands on the deck to project us further to greater expectations. This is what I believe. It is our actions. We are looking at the possibility of moving forwards. And all of us in this community have served. And I commend my opponent because he's a distinguished gentleman and he has actually done great things. At this moment, I kind of feel like, during my warm handshakes, I want to give every one of you a warm handshake for the love and never ceasing greatness that you put together for us to be able to assess and gain a magnificent building as this one. Let's give ourselves a hand. There are several times when I meet my friends, we talk about a lot of things, and we are always together. In the education community, we are together. In several instances, we are together. And I actually made it out to a couple of friends that, despite the fact that my constitutional term as a member of the executive had expired, I came back with a few of you, and maybe including my good friend at that point, to assess people and did everything looking at the mammoth dimensions, requirement from external energy to have our lives turned on. And that was great. What differentiates us is character. And I want to categorically say that this young man, I don't know what I'm calling young man, I got gray hair, but maybe I got mine before you. I am not assailing his character. What I'm saying is that the respect for our constitutional association and regard and that ability to bring people together is very, 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 very vital. And if you have that ability to bring people together, you can never abandon ship. Like Sarah Palin, who remembers Sarah Palin? She was the governor of Alaska, who resigned and abandoned ship. When you do that, you leave the community at large. You leave the community in a state of dysfunctionality. And I'll be discussing some of these things as we go on through the course of tonight. But I want to state this, that one of the things that I actually want to look at is all hands on the deck. I'll be providing you tonight with a vital program that addresses how we can move progressively ahead. And I applaud it. There's a time when I took one simple program, one simple venture, and moved it in such a way that we were able to put all hands on deck and acquire this building. And I want to tell you this. I am not Donald Trump, who says that
Believe me.
I have the solutions to all our American problems. Thank you.
Yes, we'll have time for questions. We're going to study questions right now. We'll have time for that, but we wanted to give candidates an opportunity to tell you about their vision. So many questions are
Louder, please.
No speaker. There's no speaker.
So, I apologize if you cannot hear me,
We can hear you now.
but there is no microphone and it's been a long day for all of us, so bear with me. Maybe you can answer. So our first question is going to go. We have 3 minutes for, to each candidate to answer the questions. And please be respectful of the time so that we can get to all of the questions. Both of you will have the same questions, so we're going to get answers from both. The same questions and answers from both of you. So our first question is going to go to Dr. Chris Wakuna. As a candidate running for the office of MinCam president, what is your #1 thing that you plan to see done within the first 100 days in office? You need me to repeat it for you.
Now I got a question. In my initial write-up announcing my candidacy for the president of MinCam, I mentioned a couple of things which were actually objectives that are measurable. one thing I realized over the course of time is the lack of details. In the first few days of my administration, if I am elected, and I hope I'm elected, will you elect me?
Yeah.
I want to look at increased participation and membership. I want to look at the possibility of harmonious inclusiveness of people within the community. I mentioned it, whether you come originally from the shores of India or from the foot of the Cameroon Mountains to the rolling grasslands, or from Betua, windingly or going straight to the borders of the Cork. We want to be able to re-energize ourselves with that oneness, with the ability to be indivisible, so that together we can build and continue to build a stronger community. And that will, for instance, most importantly, include our youth. Because if you look at it, within our administrations, the youth are conspicuously absent. I will make sure that in the decision-making situations, bodies in our community, the youth will have that representation because they are the future leaders of this community.
Thank you, Dr. Fortuna. You took that in 2 minutes, so that's good.
Okay, in my first 100 days, I'll do 3 things. The very first thing I'll do is to visit each and every MinCam leader in their respective houses. I will do that because I believe that the problems MinCam is facing right now is that the leaders are not talking to each other. The next thing I will do is to set up a separate independent body to manage the CCC. I will do that because I believe a perfect management of the CCC will get us out of the financial stress. And the last thing I will do in my first 100 days is to reconstitute all the MinCam committees. The committees were created about 4 years ago. Some of the people have left town, and those committees are what make MinCam what it is today. I will try to bring in new people, men, women, youths, into each and every committee so that we can start working again and make sure that our community is strong and vibrant. Thank you.
So Dr. Fortuna just talked about his first 100 days in office, what he intends to do. He wants to increase participation and membership of MinCam. He wants to bring inclusiveness in all of the groups, oneness to energize groups to build our community. He wants to get the youth inclusive in the decision-making and activities in the community, and he wants them to get representation in leadership. And also, Dr. Enonyake wants to visit each and every MinCam leader at home, separate independent body to manage the CCC, and he also wants to reconstitute all the MinCam communities to make MinCam worthy, and he wants men, women, and youth to be inclusive in our decision-making here in MinCam. So, Mr. Architect,
all right. We are going to our second question now.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. What Madam Melende just read out is submission. The candidates were here and spoke in the language all of them. Then you turn up now and do telling that I never
Mr. Bates, I'm sorry you think that it's unworthy. It's just a recap, a summary of what you said in 2 minutes. of which we had to use 3 minutes each and the vote was 2 minutes each.
Yeah, so everybody had.
That is the procedure, I'm sorry.
Yeah, everybody had. So,
All right. We are going to our second question now to the candidates. Read it out. That will go to. Yeah. The second question is: MinCam has been going through some very tough times in the last year or so, and particularly in the last 8 months. If elected president of MinCam, how will you go about uniting, bringing the community together as one?
Thank you so much. First of all, I may reorganize the premise of that question a little bit, because I for one don't believe that the disunity of MinCam started in the last 8 months. It's been there. Now, but then there are crack lines. That is a point which we all agree. The disunity of MinCam is based mainly on regional or language barriers. And I believe that people are not united because they don't know each other. What I'm going to do is to work with the MinCam Representative Assembly to talk to each cultural group in our community to send ambassadors to other cultural groups. Here's how it will work. Say you are from the Bali group. The Bali group can send 2 ambassadors from Bali who can attend the Manu meetings, at least 3 meetings a year. They will participate as if they are members of Manu meeting. They will take ideas from the Manu meeting and share with the Bali meeting. Someone from the Manu group too will be in the Fabami meeting, who will take ideas and share. When we know each other better, I think, and when we know that we are in each other's midst, some of those vile language that we use when people are not there will break away. My brothers and sisters, let's face it. Another point where MinCam faces disunity is because darkness only exists if light fails to shine. This regional divide. But the majority who don't believe in it sit quiet. So if you ask someone like myself running for president, and I hope I become the president, what will I do? My response to you will likely be a question. What are you doing when someone brings up this division in your presence? What are you doing when someone uses our e-forum to throw a divisive word? We have to be each other's keeper. We have to take this as our responsibility. It cannot be solved by leadership, no matter what program we put forward, including the one I just mentioned. It has to be a change of mentality, not a change of rules. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As I mentioned before, the ugliness of regionalism has that potential to create an irreparable havoc and bring dysfunctionality to our own very essence. So, how are we going to approach it? We approach it by reaching out to individuals. We approach it by creating viable and doable programs where all of us participate as one people. In the vital program that we're producing, maybe I'll have the chance to show you how we can get together as one people. You have interactive programs that it doesn't matter where you come from, Betua, Yaoundé, Garoua, Bali, Eko. There's that possibility of us meeting together, possibly on a frequently scheduled basis. Take for instance, our sporting programs. When you come to the field, and in fact I was going to establish by the All-Stars. Anybody man in here? So what was going to happen under those circumstances, that engagement of us coming together, and then the administration cannot just shy aside. When you realize that there's some kind of dysfunctionality within people, and I've done this several times, it's a matter of reaching out. One young man asked me a couple of times, a long time ago, that he's a francophone. They seem sidelined. How can they be part of this? I said, I'm gonna preach harmonious inclusiveness. I am going to go to those specific groups and say, hey man, I have dinner in my house today, I'm an Anglophone, can you come and visit me? When you do those interactive things and bring people together by reaching out to them, there's a likely possibility that people will come together. You'll be very, very surprised that after the election, Donald Trump will say, Hillary, how you doing? And that's what happened with McCain and the rest of those people. So it is a matter of actually reaching out to those people and doing things that are seemingly very, very important and leading by example. If you are a leader within a community and then you interact socially and let people know that unity is our most important asset, there's a likely possibility that the unity, people will come together and do things.
All right, I'm going to go to the third question. When we listen to our young men and women, one thing we hear over and over is the lack of trust of the governing branches of MinCam. How will you and the executive go about restoring that trust with the community? Oscar?
Yeah, I believe that if you want someone to trust you, you want to listen to them first and have an honest conversation with people. The issue of trust in our community is based primarily on the fact that we don't listen to each other. We spend more time talking past each other than listening to each other. If I become the president of MinCam, what I will do is, first thing, visit all the cultural and alumni groups in our community. And I've already mentioned earlier on that I will be talking with each and every leader of MinCam. The other thing about trust is transparency. Typically in MinCam today, people get information only after asking. There are times, I think recently, we've been seeing information more often than not. But in total, people get information only after asking. Now, we are a non-profit organization. Let's take this CCC for example. If I want to rent this space, I don't need to call Mula Nyoki. He's a good friend, yes, but I don't need to call him. I need to go to the MinCam website. That website should have a MinCam calendar there. If I want to take June 16, I'll click on June 16, pay my $500 deposit, and that date will turn gray. If I don't pay the remainder of my money 2 weeks before the event, the date turns back open for someone else to take. That is transparency. You don't need to create bottlenecks in places when we are in this period of technology. We can do these things. The next thing that the leadership will need to do to build that trust with the people is to make sure that minutes of leadership meetings are made public. And if possible, with the new technologies that we have, why not videos of leadership meetings made public, except in rare cases? We want to know that our leaders are working for us. I say this because the board of directors recently took decisions. Some members say it's not the way it's supposed to be, and others say it is the way it is supposed to be. But if we had concrete minutes out of each and every one of those meetings, and every member signs those minutes before it is published, I think the trust will be built. The last and most important point that I want to make, which is something I implemented when I was the chair of the Rep Assembly, all the disputes between leaders should be in-house. Leaders should not come and be quarreling on the e-forum. As president, I will make sure that I build that relationship with each and every one of my executive members, so that we can actually have our disputes in-house and we don't need to go out there and air our dirty laundry. Because each time you do that, you only wear down trust. And I hope you will take this at heart and push your leaders, irrespective of the decision of this election. Thank you so much.
Since you are at the back of the speakers, find somebody in the audience who will be
Louder, please.
them. That is not
You can't hear you. Go home.
No, he was asking the question to the once a year for a laugh, they should round it up.
Thank you. You know what? I want to say that Dr. Pascal is a very intelligent person. Give him a round of applause. You know, in my write-up, I talk of transparency, and he just picked up my word. You're a very intelligent man. You know, in order to be very interactive and good within the community, as a leader, you must first learn how to serve. If you are a leader who comes up and just to give directives without ever being able to know how to serve, there will be dysfunctionality. I'm telling this because I've been in trenches where I actually serve to be able to bring out the goodness within people in the community. When I mentioned transparency in my write-up, when I introduced myself to the position of the candidacy of MinCam, I meant it solely because I have been involved in several other organizations like this, where there's likely possibility that people just say financial. And I demonstrated that as we went about our grassroots. We had distinct and weekly public or financial situation, which they saw created trust amongst us. It is actually giving that information out. I'm just trying to underscore what he said. And I agree with him 100% that you cannot hide information. Give it to the people, but in a timely and cohesive manner. I think that if elected president, one of my priorities will be financial transparency. And I have already demonstrated that within our community, we have weekly updates, minute by minute, on how we do. I think that building trust would also depend on their ability to serve. I don't know what's the negative aspect of saying that somebody abandoned ship and therefore on this, but it is the ability to serve and build that trust with people. Thank you.
So our next question will go to Dr. Chris. There is the office of the Vice President vacant. Will you consider becoming a Vice President and working with your opponents to rebuild the community?
Thank you very much. I think I know what you say. I'm not a clown after you. That's a very difficult question. No, that's not a question. That's embarrassing.
I think I will be privileged to have Dr. Chris Fokumga as my vice president. He has a qualities, as he mentioned. He has been there in many other places, so he can advise me as the president. Now, because the office of the president right now of MinCam, I believe that we should not make it so inward focused, as I mentioned earlier. I have the skills, the network to easily go outside our community, represent us, and bring resources back to our people. That is why I'm running. And if I go and bring those resources back to our people, and I have a strong advisor like Dr. Chris as VP, my brothers and sisters, this will be a very good.
Those candidates want to be ordered to be appealed, so at least since both of them are winners.
Let them think about that.
The last question
They both answer well.
to Dr. Pascal. How do you plan to address the perceived lack of accountability in the
How does he plan to address the perceived lack of accountability in MinCam?
They did not ask you to answer the question, so
I think the perceived lack of accountability is really fully correlated with the perceived and probably what is actually there, the lack of transparency. Because if we are transparent, people will know whether or not we are accountable. But I will expand that question a little more broadly, because when we talk of accountability, we are not just talking of leadership providing information to people, we are also talking of making sure that leadership take ownership of the positions that they run for. We have a problem today where people hold offices in the board of directors and in other organs of MinCam, and they have not shown up. I think that is lack of accountability. If you run for a position and at some point you are not capable of executing the functions of that position, please, you have to resign, because there are 4,000 Cambodians and somebody else.
Yeah, I think if I had the chance, I will show you guys what I did in form of a viable plan. And that is how I think an organization should be structured, where they don't have to ask you to report, where you are interconnected within a mainframe, where if you don't do your responsibilities, hey, somebody sitting way out in the borders of Wisconsin will just point out that, oh, it may be somebody in the internal control is not doing his or her functions correctly. So this thing is really simple. It depends on a viable, and doable program. It depends on how the administration, the governing body, sets its own priorities. To hold every person accountable, as just my good friend has said, when you take up the responsibility of doing a particular function, you should be tied to it. There should be some kind of internal control of checks and balances. If you look at it, that is how the governing body of the U.S. functions, where I don't know what is the judiciary or what other part, they are actually accountable. And where they actually meet periodically to assess what is going on. And that is why I had actually promised the initiation of a process improvement committee where I will involve both the youth and the elderly as well as members of the board, so that they should sit and meet periodically to assess where we are, and at that point, if something is not going on right, we are able to catch it, than to wait for a very long time and somewhere along the line people start complaining, oh, this thing did not come out. It is done within a structural framework, a doable framework that if you are interested, I'm going to pass some of this around for you to actually see the plan that I have to move this organization forward. And you believe me, those of you who have known me, is that when I say I'm going to do something, I do. So that would depend.
So we've heard from both candidates and all the questions have been answered. If you have questions, please.
You have to start.
How many questions do you want to?
So we're gonna go one. What?
How many questions?
Well, today is your day. Ask as many as possible.
Thank you.
And one question per person. And please, candidates, you have 2 minutes to answer.
1 minute.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Just for the purpose of recording everything, when somebody has a question, is selected to ask a question, can you please stand over there so I can get you? Just to document everything. Thank you.
I want to thank both candidates for introducing and reintroducing themselves to us. I want to first thank the candidates for telling us who they are.
Louder, please.
And the question I have for both of them is, what makes you different from the past presidents that have handled MinCam today? And what is it that you're going to do different from what they did or did not do? Thank you.
Who's that question? Who's going first?
It doesn't matter who goes first.
Both candidates.
I ask the question to both of them.
Please allow the moderator to moderate.
Maybe I could repeat his question if I had you right. You did did you hear his question? Okay. So what am I going to do differently if I'm elected president? First of all, I want to stand in here and emphatically state that I respect the vision of the founding president and the president who followed him, because they did a lot of hard work to be able to bring us to where we are at the moment. I respect their vision. There might have been shortcomings, and I've actually done a lot of research in what it entails, what we call analytical leadership. These programs that I am actually proposing is a lot of going and looking specifically at what worked and what did not work, to be able to progress us and push us forward. So, what I do differently is basically nothing than revitalizing our community, which at this particular point is a little bit dysfunctional, to give us the strength so that we can come back together again as one people, united, indivisible, including the youth, and moving the association forward and doing so many things. With this program here, you remember the grassroots. We are not going to be depending so much on grassroots where you come and say, Dr. Chris, hey, give me $10 to do this. It is a program where if we establish this program, there will be grants, there will be outside sources of income. And I will actually at that point in time, hey, look at Dr. Pascal. If I'm elected president, say, Dr. Pascal, give me all those sources, let me go to them, because I know quite a few. The program shows where we have sources from the government, the state, other associations that will come and join us to make our life less famous in terms of financial burden. So I'm going to be including a very, very vital program that makes our life much more efficient. Thank you.
Mr. Winding, I think that is a very important question. Even though I have to say, for the most part, what I will do is try to be in same footsteps with what some of the former leaders have done, because I honestly believe that they have done a great job to the extent that they can do. But as I mentioned earlier, and I'll reiterate it with an example this time, where I think I'll be different. I'll be different because I think of all those who have been the presidents of MinCam up to this date, I am the only candidate who has the most corporate connections, and we need those dollars back home. Let me give you an example on how I'm going to do this. Let's take our parking lot issue, for example. The way I'm going to solve that problem is not by looking for ways of how can we generate 3,500 from within ourselves. What I will do, which is what I've done recently, is I look at MinCam's hand in the negotiation and the parking lot landlord's hand in the negotiation. I quickly concluded that the parking lot landlord has a stronger hand. So I went further to say, who is the parking lot manager who does business with? We have to build up what we call a web of friends of MinCam who are outside of MinCam. That is what I'll be calling on each and every one of us in our community. In America, the way it works is people know people who know people. And all of us here know
Can we take a break for 5 minutes?
Oh, let's
5 minutes.
I have a suggestion to make.
Order.
If you have a particular question to a particular candidate, feel free to do so. That way we don't go too much. So, unless you want both of them, you can specify that you want both of them.
They are not part of the debate.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank the candidates for doing this, for taking the time, to do this.
Quiet, please.
Order. I do have. The first thing I want to try to say is how disappointed I am with us that we are in this building right now. The first thing I came in, the aircraft parking right there, and we can complain about the parking lot. The next minute we're going to have the firefighter here. Just because of that, to a certain level, I'm kind of disappointed among us. We have a spot that we paid $3,500 for. We might as well use it. We shouldn't be throwing money there without using it. So now my question goes to both candidates. Every time there is an election, I know you guys mentioned during your introduction about getting the youth involved in this. But my question is, we've heard that back and back and back again. How do you plan on getting the youth involved? Both of you claimed of committees. What type of committees do you think the youth could best fit? Or what part of your government do you think the youth could best fit to serve the community? Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Julius Peters. I think each time we talk about the youths, we talk about involving them into committees, as if committees is the reason why they are part of MinCam. That is not really the reason why youths are part of MinCam. When I was a youth, I was looking for growth potential. I wasn't looking for being a part of a committee. The one thing I will do, which is on my platform, is to have a solid mentor-mentee program where adults and gray-hair guys like myself or gray chin, because my hair is not gray yet, gray chin guys like myself can mentor, so that I don't just stand here and I say to you, I have some friends or I have done these kind of things in my life. How have I passed it on to you tomorrow, so that tomorrow you too can mentor someone else? And I'm proud to tell you that just this year alone, I've mentored 2 Cameroonians, one who graduated with a very high degree and one who graduated with a college degree, because it is important for me to make sure that these persons go on to have a productive life. I can be standing here today and tell you I am Dr. Pascal Enonyaket X, Y, and Z, but I don't know, the next moment I go out there, a small accident can put me on disability, and I may depend on you to help take care of me. Let's not forget, this is the family you have, not the family back home in Cameroon. This is a family. So when I pass that to you, I'm not passing it to you because you are a MinCam member. I'm passing it to you because you are my younger brother or my younger sister. And I want to see you.
Well, I really love that question, and as I'm saying, I wish I stood up for you, because this man is very smart. He's always getting my phone. If you look at in the detailed program, I have several programs that will actually tie the youth to the community. And Mr. Beseka, if you look at him here, I have mentor-mentee program. It is getting a program that involves everybody. It's getting a program that the youth will like. Our programs in here, that is MinCam CCC programs, where you have boys, girls, youth, adults, and everything. And those things will be tied down specifically where you will come in and have a vote. Committees, as my good friend has observed, is not the best option. In some associations where I belong, where I do participate, they are actually youth leadership, where maybe in the near future we can say, okay, the youth wing of MinCam, where there is a president, vice, and so on and so on, to empower you to be able to take decisions and bring to the General Assembly, not just a committee. So I have this word aligned. When I talk of youth now, when you see the boys and girls, in a couple of days, as I said, I spent just 5 years in America. Then when I went back home to see my little sister, she was so tall. I don't know I'm so short. My people are very tall. You know, I was kind of saying, is this girl so grown? You say, yes, I am. So there's likely possibility that these boys, the girls here will become youth and eventually become adults. That is what this program, it is well thought of. It's not a 1 minute thing. These things are well thought of. And I would like to share this with you. We have not had that opportunity to get everything explained detailedly. I had actually thought about your question. It is well documented. And if elected president, I will make sure that these things come to roll. Thank you.
Can we take just 5 minute recess? I think advisors want to speak to their presidential candidates for 5 minutes.
Please, quiet. We've started.
Okay. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. And my question is for both candidates. They all stand up here to talk about this piece of asset that we have here. And when I look at it like it's so undermanaged or underused. I would like one of the candidates to throw us a light as to how we're going to maximize the space that we have here. For those of you who have not toured this building, we have a lot of space that is just sitting there and wasting. And if one of them can tell us how they're going to utilize this place, even up to the point where we can actually use what we have here to pay for what we need here, that would be something that I would live for joy to hear that. And the second part of it, because all along we always contribute to pay bills here. And we have property here that can actually pay for bills and even put us the positive balance in the bank. How are you guys, or any one of you who become president, going to maximize this place so that we sit back, relax, and have all the fun we can have here without stressing to know that the lights are going to go off?
Before the candidates come up with please, let's drop the 3 minutes to 1 minute. Okay, so let's drop the 3. There's no reason to repeat over and over because you can hear that they repeat a lot of stuff here. So 1 minute for the candidates each.
Well, what I will do to maximize this building is to, first of all, set up a sustainability plan for the building. That plan will have using part of this facility as a museum. That plan will also include making sure that, my brothers and sisters, we re-evaluate the cost of running this building, the market value of this, our area, and see if at all the current cost that we are, the current price we are paying to rent this property is actually working. Additionally, I've been to this building prior to announcing to the community that we are going to purchase this building. When I went up there, I have to tell you I had to stay with the crowd because you can get lost over there. There is a lot of space up there. If we bring in all of our Cameroonian businesses, that will be good. However, that will not be enough. That is why I talk about bringing in friends of MinCam who are non-Cameroonians, creating that web of non-Cameroonians, and having them go to their respective communities and ask people to come and rent this space. Because the only way we can actually sustain this building is to make sure that we don't just utilize this space, but every other space. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you very much. I want to categorically state this, and I don't mean to be offensive. I had indicated that in every question that you are asking, I have a detailed plan. But what I want to do at this particular moment is question. One question, resilience. There was a time when all seemed to be lost in this particular building. The lights were turned off. At a particular point, my very good friend actually went in a very enlarged meeting and told people not to contribute to this building, not to contribute funds here. That was really, really something that was dysfunctional. That is not leadership. What I'm saying here is that we should not just be a fair weather trooper when it comes to positions of running for the community to get this place going. We should be there at all times. When the lights got turned off, what I actually did was, I was no longer part of the executive. I came back, and within those number of hours, I joined people to make sure that we had the lights turned back on. But now, having experienced that, I have a detailed plan here. Collaborative leadership, marketing and sales, residual staff, program development, capital improvement, fund development, internal control, fiscal plan. Now, when you got this, and we have a functional program going on, I am going to tell you that we are going to get funds to be able to manage this building. We are going to get people. We can even go to a point where we have consular services all over. The building is large, but first of all, instead of getting somebody somewhere to come and sit down here and manage it, we have to get those programs.
My hand at the top.
Louder, please. Louder, please.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. My question is related to this building as well. And I'm glad that she asked that question because the debate did not focus more about this building. And we know that one of our major problems in this community is this building. And it's about the sustainability of this building. And if we cannot sustain this building, we'll probably lose it. I expected the debate to focus more on this building and probably the parking. I know that MinCam involves more other things, but we'd like to know from the leaders because we already know them. They have served before. We'd like to know sustainable programs that they have going forward. And let me ask my question this way. And it's in the form of a pledge. If they can pledge to this community going forward, do you pledge that this building under your leadership will not be sold? It's a pledge. Do you pledge that this building under your leadership will not be sold? If you pledge, say yes, give an answer, or no, give an answer. Thank you.
I will say yes. The reason I will say yes is that at a particular point in time, my opponent had actually articulated that this building should be sold. If you must have read some of those things online, that is when at a particular point in time, he sat within, I mean, as a system leader, I have so much respect for him. When at our darkest hours, he actually told some very good friends of ours, group of people, not to contribute when we had black moments. But what I did at that particular time, and I can promise this to our youth, this building is Cameroonian, and it will remain Cameroonian. It can never be sold.
I will pledge that so long as Cameroonians don't want this building to be sold, it will not be sold. Because as a leader, I cannot pledge that this building will never be sold. What if the people all in the 90% majority say sell it? So I will pledge that I will go with the will of the people at any point in time in a fair referendum. Now, let me address the point of what my opponent talked about, selling this property. My brothers and sisters, a good leader thinks in moments of time, not in static transformation, if you will. At the time when I said, and I stand by that because I wrote it, actually, if anyone in here did not see that email, I have a copy that I want to share with you. At the time, I noticed that this building was being funded. Lights and everything else was being paid for by one person, a good friend of mine, taking money, and I'm a little emotional at this stage, from hard-earned family coffers to take care of this property. My brothers and sisters, if you vote for me as president of MinCam, and at some point you find that this job is steering my family or is doing something, please write such a letter so that it can make me to think again. Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. I have a couple of questions.
Louder.
The question is put into one. Everybody's saying one. It's a couple of questions in one. I've been in this community for a while. I've run a business, but I've heard the debate. It's gone through. Nobody has talked about it. A correct business plan. This is a business you're running. And the business is 501c corporation you run. And in order to run the business, you have to have that plan that's going to support. You're bringing an outside management to manage this property. If you're going to deal with volunteers, you're going to be dealing with less hours. And you're going to deal with people who are not going to answer their phone calls because you're not paying them. Tell this community how you are going to manage this community center without paying people and developing a website. I know you have IT people, but they're not going to sacrifice their time to do that. Some will, but not full hours. What are you going to do as a leader coming up in order for these volunteers? Because you're dealing with volunteers, you have no money. You don't have money. You have to have these volunteers be able to develop this plan for you. Are you going to use pocket money, or are you going to make people continue to make donations? I heard you also talked about grants. What do you think this community has done to deserve grants?
Actually, I believe that if we want to succeed in the long run to make sure that this property is sustainable, what we need to do is we will have to start with volunteers at the beginning. However, we will bring somebody. It can be a Cameroonian. When we talk of bringing somebody, it should not sound like we go out there. We have talented people. We'll bring somebody where we will say to this person, can you manage this property for 6 months for free as a volunteer service, and then later on we will pay you based on X% of what you bring in as revenue for this business. My good friend, I have taken a job when I left General Mills for Kimberly Clark. They gave me a job where they say, you turn around this business in 2 years. If in 2 years you don't do that, find the door. Nobody should even tell you. And that is how we should run this place, where we can bring somebody and ask them to bring us revenue, and we will pay them. And they've signed that contract with us, and this place will be sustainable. I hope in the limited time I was
Okay. First of all, if you were to leave from here to drive to Minneapolis and you don't have a road map, you might end up in Chicago. What I have done what I have actually done is do very good feasibility studies. You cannot run an organization without a budget. And this is the basis of my budget. You can tell I put in some time and wait some of these things. Who asked the question? Just look at this. While I wait for it, I'm going to take 1 minute. This is called the Fund Development Framework, where at this particular point, some of the things that we have been doing, we'll continue to do it. I had grassroots and membership contributions at 20%. Fees and facilities, that means the renting of this place at 10%. Foundation grants at 30%. Government grants at 20%. And other government grants close to 30%. That makes about 100%. And the way we are going to get this is by, first of all, getting together with all hands on the deck and developing programs where we can go to each particular government, like the city of St. Paul, through the Port Authority, where recently they just gave us $200,000. It is this essence, this is what they know about our community. It is such a framework. It is with such a framework. And it is basically also with this framework that we have not yet established any particular program that we have a grant of the 7,000. That's what I'm saying. My friends, look at this. It is well prepared, well thought for. They are not just ideas or theory. I have done a lot of research work, and that's what we have here. Thank you.
Over here, please. lady.
Can I be a chip?
Yes.
I'm
my name is Gladys Atewa, and I'm going to speak in Pidgin because that's a common language amongst all of us. So I'm going to start. I work in Mankato, but I had to be here because I used to live here, and everybody sitting here, we know each other. We're grown, we have kids, and so even those who are going to Iowa and coming back, we want our voice to be heard. So before I leave, I need to also ask my question. So my impatience is not rude, but my impatience is the fact that I need to contribute and I need to hear what my community will do. In 5 years, I will be contributing here too. So this is my question. And the question was that ask you a question in terms of the trust of young people. What is it that you're going to do? What is the trust? We didn't hear you say anything that was concrete in that answer. Why am I saying this? Is that Julius Eleganza, how many people in Eleganza, how many people from Eleganza, they are Mankato students, that they go to school in Mankato, but they come back to town and try to sustain little businesses. We have a whole big population of youths that is young in Mankato. I think in your answers, you guys have not unpacked what we all are. It's about unity, but the unity does not even go to Iowa question. Even if the question is a slap. Order. We have Iowa. When that death came, the population of Cameroonians jumped Iowa. What I'm trying to say is this. Inclusive does not mean what we are seeing right here. Inclusive means that you guys need to count every single Minnesota wherever we are, because we are going there to come back.
Can we please listen?
Better than what you need us. But you, all those tribal places, those are not the people that you need. You need us. Eleganza, I'm disappointed with the fact that you say mentor.
Can we just let her speak?
I'm disappointed with the fact that you were talking about mentoring, but where you guys need to mentor is this Eleganza people, that population. Target that population. That's all I have to say for this. I don't even.
Quiet, please.
So it was a suggestion. It was a suggestion.
Even if it was a suggestion, but the answer, the question they gave them, they didn't answer. That's my thing. They didn't answer the question. So no, I'm saying the question that they asked them was not answered.
Okay, but you were not satisfied.
Yeah, so I was not satisfied. So I'm saying that they need to focus on that youth, because these people are business people. All they need to do is you guys have to help in the whole the business.
She raised some very important points. What I got from what she said is the fact that there might be, knowingly or unknowingly, there might be a disconnect between what leadership of MinCam thinks the youth are interested in and what the youth really want. So what I will say to you is that know that if I'm elected president, I'll be calling some of you, I'll be meeting with you regularly to find out what is it that we need to do as a community. And this is very important. I'm not going to be finding out just what is it that we need as a community to benefit the youth, because you are not just looking out for the youth, you're looking out for our entire community. So when I reach out to you, I'll be looking to get more input. Take note, my dear friend, leaders are not elected because we have all the answers. We are elected because we want to serve, and we will be reaching out to make sure that we get better solutions than even the ones we were thinking about.
Yeah, I'm going to just take a brief moment to respond to that. Have you ever looked at a situation where somebody asks you a question and then you answer it by asking the person a question? Is that well, if at this particular point in time I'm ignorant, I don't know what you really want me to do, the answer is outreach. In my initial write-up, I did mention youth participation. I did mention bridging the gap. It's not just one representative. It's coming, reaching out to you and asking, what can I do for you? I am here to serve. And I also mentioned that in order to lead, you must serve. So I will render the best of my services to make sure that we get youth participation, not just inclusiveness. If I have to come to you and ask you, what can I do for you? And tell you, okay, I will say, give me 1 week, give me 2 weeks, and I'm going to do that. Thank you.
After your next, then Papa to your next.
No, I'll be eating the camera.
Quiet, please.
Just a very quick question. This popular, you made mention of something very important. It was very, very, kind of, make me think. You talk about the port authorities. You talk about the port authorities extending grants towards the hall, about $200,000, which is a very good thing, and we really do appreciate that. So my question to the two of you, and for you to expatiate more on that, is that $200,000 has been disbursed to you now as the president of MinCam. How are you going to manage that work?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. An aspiring president of MinCam should know the fundamentals, should know what is actually happening within the community. That $200,000 is a loan for capital management. Currently, the amount of electricity that we are using in this building surpasses everything. That $200,000 is supposed to get us manage this building from a 4-pipe system to a 2-pipe system. It is a grant that will be nullified in 66 months. So if you look at that money, it is almost a loan free. We're not going to be getting that much out of it. So the management would be that I would ensure that within the framework, within the digital framework of what I've actually presented, those people will be reporting back to either the manager of the CCC or the president and report of findings back to the community, and that will entail transparency as opposed to background.
We're going to give opportunity to the candidates to ask maybe 2 or 3 questions to each other. So,
I think I was next.
Before I ask my question, I'm gonna. I have the floor, please. Thank you. Okay, before I ask my question, I'm going to comment a little bit so my question is context. So, am I loud enough? Yeah. So, anyway, MinCam, when it comes to MinCam, for me it's personal. Besides being a community thing, for me it's personal. Because I was one of the people who sat down and they won to figure out how we can create something like this. So for me, it's personal. And
when we were thinking, before we even had a meeting, that was called by people like Dr. Chris and Michael. We had a lot of discussion, there were a lot of discussion everywhere. And everybody had an idea and a vision and ambition of what we wanted for a community like this one. And for me, I'm sorry, but maybe I just somebody who thinks or dreams a little bit higher than maybe my hand can reach. But so far, just like my sister was just saying, I haven't heard something that makes me feel like we are actually going somewhere I could feel like we're going somewhere. We've talked about bringing people together. That's really good. Without bringing people together, we can't do something together. But, and then a lot of, the focus were about, raising funds from the community and, asking for grants. That's good too. However, I think we're much better than that. I mean, look at our community. We're one of the most educated community in America. I don't know if you guys follow politics or whatever. We are one of the most educated community in America. And we're here and we're thinking about how we're going to go and beg for money from individuals and from companies or whatever. I like to think, to look at other communities around us. When I look at a community like the Jewish community, because that's the community I do like to look at, because it's a very successful community. You can agree with the politics or disagree with it, but that's not the point. The point is what they have been able to accomplish. How many Jews are out there in the world and what have they been able to accomplish? How many of us are out there and what can we accomplish? Why are we selling ourselves short? So my question to the candidate is, what is your vision for MinCam? How do you think you can utilize the resources? By resources, I mean the people that we have in MinCam to really take this community. We talk about youth. Youth like to look at the future. What are you providing me that can help me, build that future? And even the people who don't consider, because actually, as far as I'm concerned, everybody here is part of the youth. But, what is the dream? Where are we going? So you can start building, because as far as I'm concerned, when I see what the first president did, the founding president, Michael did, and the way he was guided, that vision got lost somewhere along the road. We started to focus on the same thing we do on Association back home, which is about social. So this became a social organization. But MinCam has more resources in terms of people and in terms of skills, in terms of qualification that we can utilize to really bring MinCam and make a lot of those people in this room millionaires and billionaires. What's the vision? What's the plan? How can you really lead people? It doesn't have to be you, but how can you lead? How can you build that trust, that confidence in those people that they can feel like they can do it, they can reach there? And that's really what I want to hear. Yeah, the vision that is bigger vision than that. That's my question.
Mr. Edith, I think that's an important question. Thank you for raising it. You are really asking, what is MinCam all about? For me, maybe my time is already past, but for me, MinCam is all about what happened to the Somali community 2 days ago when they elected someone into the Minnesota House of Representatives.
That's good.
That is what MinCam is. For me, MinCam is all about using those skills, those educational assets that we have in this community, bring it together and create a self-sustaining community. You talked about the Jews. I lived with a Jewish family when I was at Harvard for 2 years. Rent-free, but they made sure that they taught me something about business and money management. And when it comes to their community, and I communicate with their community a lot everywhere I go, one thing they do is that the $1 they have will circulate to every hand before it leaves their community.
It doesn't circulate. We need to work on that.
So that is what I see MinCam for. MinCam is not just, as you clearly articulated, a social gathering. MinCam is a gathering to build a family of people who can support each other and rely on each other. And if I'm elected president, I will not be able to build all of that in a short time, but I can promise you that I will build the framework that will take MinCam to that vision. Thank you.
I think that was a very challenging question. And having thought of it, this is what I call collaborative partnership. There are certain things that we don't know within our community. There's something inside, within the African American community, big brother, small brother. If you don't know, if you don't have the tools, there's a likely possibility that if you have somebody who knows it, they will be able to help you. That is what I call, within the framework of my workable Bible plan, collaborative partnership. If you have an excellent idea, we can move us forward. Then, collaborating with the state government, collaborating with viable and interesting corporations that can lean on their shoulders to move ahead is a priority. Knowledge is nothing if it cannot be applied. If I have a particular process that can enrich the community, I will not hide it. So what I would encourage at any particular point in time is putting all the intelligence heads together and creating a viable prospective program that can collectively, remember I mentioned all hands on the deck. If we don't have the knowledge, let's put our heads together and move progressively forward. That is what I am actually pushing ahead. And I think that given the chance to do that, you're going to see productive results. I like that question because it's opening my head. And when you ask questions that I don't have all the answers, as I said, what it would entail is that I go back and do a lot of research. And when I have that research in my hands, I can assure you that you're going to have something very productive and progressive.
Quiet, please.
We have 2 more questions, so we can give a chance to the candidate to rebuttal each other. Right? So, Babate, your hands will be up. So you are one of the candidates, and this young man is the last candidate.
Babate. I'm just gonna. Yeah.
All right. Here comes my question. Dr. Chris Fokuma took 8 years as one of the pioneer members of this organization, MinCam. Pleasure. Today you have a lofty plan in front of us to make you president. So, after Lennon, you spent 2 years as president of the Red Assembly. You really want to be president, come out here and do it's unfortunate that both of you have concentrated your argument plans only on this field. What you have from standpoint. Before we bought this field, MinCam has been holding annual convention under the leadership of Michael Fortinala, myself, and those executives. And we had a big turnout of community wherever we hold annual meeting, either in the region hall or somewhere else. And every group tried to be represented. They do it with all the happiness. No rancune. It is not a grant. It will be a donation to MinCam. How you spend it, tell us how you spend this money, where it will please our donor to always give 50,000. That's the thing. It's not a loan.
It's a good question.
You have to convince your donors.
Well, if I have $50,000 in my pocket, I'll be a very rich man. I will take a vacation to the Bahamas. How about that? No, I'm not going to take a vacation to the Bahamas. What is really essential here, from your standpoint, from what is the problem? We are all very proud of the duality of our cultural heritage. We are very, very proud of the duality of our cultural heritage. When we started MinCam, it was very, very, very colorful. Where I would say Mulan with the big lapa and they're dancing this. And then I'll come as Baliman, so those are the things you said. And from your question, you appear to have actually laid a lot of emphasis on our cultural heritage. We would spend part of that money by enhancing our culture, because that is the way people perceive us. They first of all see us as Cameroonians, we're from Africa, and there was a time we rented this hall to the Igbo cultural people. The way they presented it was madly very, very efficient. But I'm not going to spend all that money on our culture. I will spend that money on Bible programs that would enable us to get more money to be able to live financial free and pay down our debts. That's what I'm going to do, and have a framework for that. Program that would benefit the community. Currently, if I was going to bring in childcare in here, I need to break some of these rooms down to establish a well-aerated area for childcare services. That's just one of the programs. I'm going to use this money within the community to enhance our assets and identity.
I think the Cameroonian community, Babate, will be blessed if we are giving $50,000. And I want to be clear, if we are given a check of $50,000 to use it as we please, and it's not tied to the CCC, ladies and gentlemen, I will not use a dime of it on the CCC. Here is what I will do. I will create a program first for our elderly. You know, we have a lot of elderly mothers and fathers who stay at home and take care of the kids. What I will do with part of that money is to create an adult literacy center here in this building, so that our elderly people can meet here, learn some skills like computer literacy, etc., while at the same time the kids are somewhere else playing. That will benefit both the adults, the kids, as well as the parents of those kids. I will also focus a program on our youth, our young people. And this is a very interesting idea, because when I sat back once and I looked at our community, it is not different from the rest of the American community in one respect. The girls are graduating at a higher rate than the boys. How can I resolve that? That is how I am going to spend that money, because our daughters need capable husbands to marry them. For the kids, I am going to spend money to make sure that there is a child care center in this building that will not just focus on the American curriculum, but will have a portion of it that will take care of teaching our kids our culture, and that will be included in the curriculum. When I bring those people back, they will realize that most of that money has been spent, but most of it has been spent with agencies, because for adult literacy, I'll make the state rent part of our building for the adult literacy. So we'll get money not just from the 50,000, but also from the state. We have to think wisely.
No, there was a hand here already.
Somebody has the floor, please. Quiet.
Hi everybody, this is my first time.
Please, quiet. Somebody has the floor.
This is the first time I'm attending this debate. My question is on morality more than what we will do for the whole. So, on the moral aspect, as a president, how do you ensure fairness? I'm like a fairness police. How do you ensure the fact that just because you're president, you don't rent out? I listen to the community a lot, and these are some of the grievances that people say behind your back that you might not know. Some people get deals for the hall, like for instance, the Friday gig. There were like other people who wanted the Friday gig also. They had to go search somewhere else for a space and rent it out on Fridays, because one person had a gig contract with MinCam for Friday. It doesn't matter if it covers the bills of MinCam for Friday, that they refused the second pseudo for the Friday evening, the hall, just because of personal affiliation. So morally, that is wrong. How would you ensure morality versus politics? Well, Cameroonians, in our DNA goes the proposed policy. So how would you ensure moral obligations? Just because I'm at the top of this plum, I don't throw the black ones to my friends. I don't give contracts to my friends. How would you ensure that? Because that is a problem. I don't know if it came to your attention, but it's being rumored behind that some people get deals because their friends are on the board. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's an important question. The way I think fairness can be ensured is if, first of all, those leaders are not necessarily part of making that decision.
Can we listen? Somebody's talking.
Are not part of making that decision on who gets the hall. And that is why I'm proposing a separate committee to run the CCC. And I'm not talking about one person committee. I'm talking about a group of people. Because some of what you articulated, if it had come to a group of people, maybe the outcome will be different. Maybe the outcome will be the same. We don't know. And we feel now that it is not fair because it came from one hand to the other. Now I'll give you something else that you did not bring as a moral or fairness something, but I think it is also part of this same vein. It is what happens when Mr. Augustine Ambe and Mr. Divine Awa put in some work into this building. I call that a moral problem because now, because of that one-on-one handshake and things like that, they were saying one thing and people were saying another thing because Dr. Ndifo wasn't here to speak. If we have a committee that manages the CCC, things like that will definitely be much more in order. I think the only way to ensure fairness is to have many heads, not just one. And political leadership should not be involved in the decision making of who gets the hall. That is why I'm suggesting go to the website and book the hall. If you want to get a contract with the CCC, let it be an open bidding online. Let people know that this is available so that other people can challenge that bid and get something for the benefit of MinCam. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It would appear as if I actually thought that a question like that would come up. And I spent several hours in developing a plan which is called marketing and sales. What is the question? There's marketing and sales here, and all groups are included. We want to run this hall in such a way that we are able to get on a schedule where you can visibly see anywhere by accessing the internet of this structural framework. My good friends, I thought a lot about this. Your question is completely answered. Any color? DJ Flex, play any color. Let's see.
No, she's right back there.
So, yeah, this is what it is. I mean, if it has been well thought of.
He's a bilingual. It's a Cameroonian.
I have different ideas.
Well, my question is very short.
That's you. Somebody has the floor, please. Quiet.
I'm a short person, so I ask short questions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so you spoke about your vision and your plan. What if your plan doesn't work? Do you have a contingency plan to solve the problem? And another problem is that you said you are going to bring the Bamilekes together, or the Hausas together, and Cameroon together as one. How are you going to take us there? How are you going to solve the disparity that we have in our community?
Who is that person directed to?
Okay. I had earlier mentioned that our very essence is that vibrant Cameroonian African minister community. And the most important way of doing these things is reaching out. I then asked one young man, if perhaps you know about my place in Rogers, how many of you still think that Rogers is far? It's not very far, right? Yeah, and I called you. Hey, vous êtes Bamileke, vous êtes Bassa. Michel Nobby, how can you say greetings in the window? And I say, I'm Cameroonian. Please come and visit me. There are many ways in which you can go around people to help them, to make them feel inclusive. If the plan fails, if I go among 5 people, they are all francophones, and I get 2 to come inside my door, there's a lot of possibility that in a year or 2, another person will come. So it's a matter of never giving up in the trying process. If it fails completely, then I know that there's some kind of dysfunctionality anywhere. Then I'll go back and reassess the situation and find ways of reaching out to people. It's simple. And it also depends if you have the time. If you have, let me say, if you're flying, you are in Nebraska, you might not actually have that time to be able to reach out. So the answer to that is reaching out and never giving up. I am not a quitter when it comes to those things. It's to constantly try to be able to assess the situation and improve on it.
So I think, Eric, for me, as I mentioned earlier, the way to bridge that gap is to first of all dispel the stigma that different people from different regions or different tribes are of different qualities. because when we view one another as human beings and as people from Cameroon, those borders break. And the way I will do it, as I mentioned earlier, is encourage the different cultural groups. Each one, Lebianem can send one person to be attending the meetings of Fabami. Be there, behave as a member, so that if Fabami tomorrow wants to raise funds to build a hospital in Chad, we all come together as Cameroonians, because you know what? My uncle just passed away. He didn't go to a hospital in Mamfe, he went to Shishon. So I won't be here trying to only look for funding for hospitals in Mamfe. I should look for hospitals anywhere in Cameroon, because I may visit Cameroon tomorrow and be a patient in one of those hospitals. So if we look at each other that way and make sure that we coordinate as tribal groups, we will be fine. My time is up.
CEO.
Don Prince. CEO in the house.
Yeah, before it's going to come like a suggestion to the candidates, and before I say that, I will greet everybody tonight, and I have a few suggestions, and it's going to be a yes or a no question. And this is, I'm sorry about that. My name is Donald Ndom. That's my name. So, first of all, I'm trying to be a business person. And I have these few suggestions as far as come to the ego. Is there a way you guys can organize it in such a way that when business people they want to send out their emails to advertise their business, they pay for it? That's another way to raise funds. Is there another way for you to organize so that in the MinCam League, everybody that's going to participate, they register, whether they're Cameroonians or not, $10. Because the reason putting people together for them to know about MinCam. Is there a way you can bring them? People come and play those games, they go back without knowing anything about MinCam. Is there a way you can do that so that when they can get to know about us, they can get to know about MinCam? We're not trying for them to know about the hall and all that, so that we put people together. My last question, and I talked with my uncle, my father, Mr. Rabio. What are you going to do specifically? What is your plan as far as business people are concerned in this town? Because I don't know. Personally, I feel like business people in this town, they are doing very well. That if you come up with a very good plan and you work with them, we are going to see a lot of progress. So I will talk about that. I will narrow it down to business people. I want to hear something that will actually move me to know that, okay, tomorrow as I'm struggling to grow, I'm trying to grow with my community. That's my question. Thank you.
Good question.
So, for what to do with the business people, I had mentioned about the Jewish community where before their dollar gets out, they make sure that it circulates to as many hands as possible. That is the reason why we had a MinCam representative assembly when I was the chairman of the representative assembly, and they asked me to think about that particular question. And we came up with an idea that we called it the Cameroon Chamber of Commerce at the time, which was to bring business people together. If you remember, every business person in this community was invited. It was to bring business people together for two reasons. One, tell us how we can mobilize the community to help you. And two, tell us how you can use your great resources to help us. And that is what I think we should do as a community. Thank you.
Well, the question you asked significantly pertains to me because I have a private practice and I'm a businessman. If there's one thing I will do that will first of all benefit me, I'm going to do that. But what I have looked at over the years is that MinCam is bigger than one particular individual. That is why you have never actually seen me advertise my business in MinCam. But I think I could do that. And with your suggestion, I will be able to do that. I've also mentioned several times that many hands do light work. If we're to leave this table in terms of physics, the projection force that takes it from where, you have gravity also acting. If someone were to lift that thing up, it would make it much more easier. Now, I belong to a particular group where just business people where we interact and find solutions on how we can help each other. With that suggestion, I had first suggested that I don't know everything. But with your suggestions, I can take it, research it, work on it, and make sure that it becomes something viable within the community. Even within my plan of MinCam shows an area where businesses are involved. And if you go to businesses, it's actually broken down into small, several partitions where it is healthcare, it is computer services, and all those things put together. So the idea of togetherness is one of the strongest ingredients that can make people go way, way higher. So including businesses in the realm of thinking about MinCam is good because you know what? Within the fundraising, it is businesses that actually contribute more towards self-sustainability of MinCam, especially CCC, which we are thinking that maybe the best way is to get it in form of different kind of governance, meanwhile allowing the executive branch of MinCam to be able to explore other ways of bringing voice in the community. So I'm going to research on that.
We have one more question, please.
Mr. Peter Kwega, I have a question.
Yes, that's what I'm coming to say. We have to end this thing. We cannot leave it up.
Yes.
I wrote names here, and these are the names that went through. So there's one more person from the audience, which is Robbie.
Now go there. How on me?
You.
Go there. Don't that thing for me. You don't come back. Don't that thing for me. No, go there. My question is, I can ask from here. I heard about the candidates send go fund and back. I've never heard any of them mention about the people who are sponsoring the MinCam Cultural Week. What are people going to do to bring out people, to appreciate the people who fight with heart and money, with sweat, to buy the hall and sponsor MinCam events? People have been talking front and back. Nobody mentioned about the Cultural Week.
I think they do.
There's traditional dancing sponsorer, soccer sponsorer, lottery sponsorer, kids sponsorer, women's soccer sponsorer. How are you going to do to have the resources to sponsor that if I, as a sponsor, step down, I don't want to sponsor? Where are you going to get the money to sponsor? I want to know, both of you.
I have always mentioned responsibility and a structure that is going to put in place. Our cultural activities were that much enlarged and encompassing. Our cultural activities were at a level where if somebody sat somewhere with a microscope and looked inside the cellular particles, you saw that there was a lot of cohesion there. You saw that, as I was trying to say, I can dance. I can dance because I can dance everything. It was something that was well planned. Because of that crack in our cohesiveness, something happened. There's a little bit of dysfunctionality, which is very, very easy to repair. If given the chance to lead this organization, as I tell you, I like to dance, I like the culture, I'm very, very proud of the quality of my cultural heritage. I would put that on the top of my priorities, because that's what we are. In essence, we are a cultural organization per se, because that is our identity. I don't know how much I can say that. It's just that there must be a program. And then announcing the cultural week. You don't have to announce it when it's like 2-3 days to the event. Announce it in such a way that the grand check himself can say, okay, here's my $100 Don Prince can say this is this to contribute to the efficiency of that week, and that's what I've done in the past. I will make sure that, given the opportunity, I will maintain that culture of announcing the cultural week way ahead, and even taking it beyond our expectations, involving the governor of this week, involving other cultures to come and see our rich culture. That is what I intend to do, if elected president.
Sheikh Rabiu is somebody who has, from time to time, always been there for this community. Whenever this community calls, you are always there to answer. Sheikh, so I want to thank you on behalf of all of us, because that is your hard-earned money.
Sheikh Mohammed, love you.
I think what is going on right now with people coming up and giving something for MinCam is not a matter of division because of regional or whatever bias. I think it's a matter of an overtapped community. Whenever we want to raise funds, we first of all look to ourselves. Check, there is Coca-Cola out there that we drink. We as Cameroonians can reach out to them and say we are having a MinCam soccer. There is a cultural office in the state of Minnesota. We can reach out to them and say we are promoting a culture, an African culture in this state. We can promote our own events. We can sponsor our own events with our monies, like the one coming from you, for the first 2 years. But you know what we can do in those 2 years? Let's invite the television stations here to cover those events. I bet you, after 2 years, all the politicians will want to donate. Thank you.
I have 2 questions.
Okay.
The first question is character assassination via emails. As president, whoever is being elected, how will you intervene or actions will you take when you see those kind of emails coming in to make the community know that there is certain rules that we don't have to breach? There is certain means of communication that we have to limit our communication. The email group is a means for us to know what is happening in the community. It's not a means for us to voice our dirty limit. So how will each of you, as whoever is being elected president, will address that situation? And the second one is to follow the rules and regulations. MinCam has bylaws. We follow our bylaws, our rules and regulations. I would like whoever becomes president to pledge here that they will follow those rules and bylaws. If they don't believe in those rules and the bylaws at the moment, they should create an amendment that they will follow. But at that moment, they should follow the rules and bylaws, because people try to make those rules and regulations. So I feel it is better for us to have a rules and procedures to guide us. If we don't have that, then we are not leading the we don't have a community. So I don't know whoever wants to be the first to answer.
Thank you, Isabel. You asked the questions and you have actually given the solution to it in the straight. I've had the opportunities of belonging to a particular association where you have not seen anything near the MinCam, where there was almost boxing, everything. What happened within that framework is that when there's an e-group, there's always an administrator. There should be guidelines where I believe that we have not been able to have the chance to actually organize the most successful organization. Even TV stations, you have administrators in the background. Like somebody was gonna come in there. You know, have you ever seen where somebody said, and then they cut it short? Those administrators are there. I have actually thought about this because one of the reasons that actually made me to run was to think about fixing those things. Because we as an organization, the way outsiders see us is cohesive. The way they see us is that vibrant community that can come together and do great things. That's why we are able to get to the districts. That's why we are able to even get funding. If that continues, what outsiders will see us is a dysfunctional community. So, if elected president, it will be one of my priorities to revisit the structure of our website and our egos to make sure that we have seasoned administrators. And then it should default become the right one. I mean, it almost became a division within one of my associations because they will unsubscribe you. If you are very, very adamant, they give you the first warning, the second one, the third warning, you are out on probation. And if you come back and repeat those things, you are excluded. It is better to exclude one seed than a seed that will come and contaminate the whole community. When we want to have it, they don't give it because, oh, that people, they don't know what they are doing. That is what I would do. Thank you very much.
First thing first, yes, I will pledge to uphold the bylaws. These current bylaws that we are using, I am one of those who wrote it. So I believe in the rule of law. I want to make sure that no matter how imperfect the law is, it is the law at the moment. So I have to follow it. Now when it comes to character assassination and control of the online forum, I believe that I will not give it to any administrator. I think there has to be two things. One, when you join this e-forum, you have to, and those who are already there, should be assumed that they have signed an agreement on how to participate in that e-forum. But after that, there should be a small committee that will look at these issues when they arise. I will tell you why I don't want to give it to the hands of any one administrator. After the first bitter elections in this community, the first and founding president of MinCam, Mr. Michael from Ngala, was at one point taken out of the forum. And some of us said, you can't take anybody out of the forum. And then, when I was the chair of the Rep Assembly, Mr. Olivier Kunkam was sending a lot of emails that a lot of people did not like, but he was making points about this is the direction MinCam should go, etc., etc., which some people are agreeing with today. And he was taken out of the forum. Those things, there is a right to speak, and it is very important because if we start silencing people, then the problem will become the person, someone deciding on what is right and what is not right. Let us give it to the hands of a small group of people. When that arises, let someone make a motion, that I make a motion that we should take Mr. Winding out of the forum and formally submit it, and let that committee take a look at it. If it is valid, they will take him off. If it is not, they will stay on, so that his rights are respected. Thank you.
Good. All right, we have come to the end. Thank you so much. I accept that the candidates have to rebuttal each other with at least 2 questions each.
2 questions only.
2 questions only.
Closing remarks. Closing statement. Make their closing statement.
We don't have questions for each other, so we are done for tonight. Thank you all for coming. Thanks for your participation. We appreciate it. I think we still have some things back there. And socialize with each other. And we have
Yes, I'm here.
yes, next week is election time. So it's going to have time to vote, time to change your mind, time to hear of stimulate the crowd. So, Mr. Enoyake, Dr. Enoyake, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thanks for making this.